Welcome back to eNCA now. The International Animal Welfare Organization, Four Paws, has managed to rescue 47 zoo animals from the Rafah Zoo in Gaza Strip. They were endangered due to unrest in the region, and most of the animals have been sent to the Jordanian wildlife sanctuaries. But 2 lions are on their way to Lions Rock in the Free State in South Africa. So for more on this story, we're joined now by the director of Four Paws South Africa, Fiona Miles. Well, Fiona, first of all, I must say that maybe from a patriotic perspective, I'm quite happy that we're going to have 2 lions, whether they're in the Free State. But are we actually aware as a community in terms of just the realities confronted by these animals alongside the Gaza Strip?
I think most people aren't aware. The focus is, of course, so much on the unrest and everything else that goes on that, people forget the zoo animals, the animals that are sort of confined in captivity in these areas. So that's why it was very important for Four Paws to remember these animals and to bring them to a place of safety that they can have an appropriate and species-appropriate life.
And to actually conduct that, it's being called a coup at the moment, but to actually conduct a coup of this nature, where you're removing animals from a specific dwelling and really relocating them to various other institutions and sanctuaries that are deemed to be safer, it's quite a taxing and probably even an expensive exercise.
Yes, it is. It's a huge logistical exercise. It firstly requires the strong cooperation from the various governments, from the authorities, from the owner of the zoo itself. And those negotiations by our team, they were very, very tough. But at the end of the day, those negotiations succeeded to be able to bring all those animals out of Gaza and basically shut down that zoo, which is, of course, very important. We don't want that animals are suffering behind these kind of cages and in terrible conditions.
We're talking about animals suffering within the zoo in itself. Is it because the zoo was not kept up to scratch? Is it because there were no adequate people that were working in the zoo? What were the problems actually confronted at the zoo that actually led you and your organization to make this decision to actually relocate those almost 40 animals?
The zoo itself, of course, and the area surrounding the conditions for the people as well as the animals was very bad. How to bring food, how to bring the right expertise in area, and so I think the zoo owner was really having a hard time maintaining it. And for instance, it came to light internationally, and there was a massive international outcry when it came to light that the zoo owner was actually declawing the lions so that they would be able to play for a longer period of time with people. Obviously, that was a source of income for him for the animal interaction, and that, of course, was kind of a huge focus and a huge motivation for Four Paws to get involved and really try and bring these animals out, so that that kind of behavior can't be precipitated.
And then obviously we've got the lions, the 2 lions that will be heading down to South Africa there, and obviously they'll be joining various other animals and other lions as well. Are you concerned about the integration process? Given the fact that the lions are not from this country and there's a different environment that they would have to be confronted with and actually have to overcome ahead of their visit?
That's right. So right now we have confirmation that they've been loaded onto the plane and they're on their way to South Africa. So we have a team on standby and ready to wait for them at the airport tomorrow. We have a fantastic team on the ground at Lions Rock who are well trained and experienced in terms of assessing the needs of the animals, having a look at what they are going to need in their rehabilitation process and in their healing process. And what we have found with regards to the other animals from other parts of the world, from Syria, from also Gaza again, when these animals come here with the special intensive care that they receive, they are actually able to recover and heal and start to have the life that they really need as a lion. So it's incredible to see that happening.
And of course, you've been involved in the Gaza Strip since about 2014, where Four Paws is actually concerned and had actually subsequently closed down 2 zoos. But then what does that say about the community in that area? And because zoos offer an educational as well as an entertaining a platform for young people, for the old as well, to get to learn about the animals. And then what does that say about the communities who will actually have to suffer because now zoos are being closed down because of some form of mismanagement or another?
I think I think because of the circumstances in the region, it's people themselves were not able to visit the zoo. I think due to the various unrest and the hardship and conditions for the people themselves, and that's why the zoo suffered. So those zoos couldn't fulfill their purposes anymore, and so they had to still care for the animals whilst no income was coming in. And so ideally, what Four Paws always wants to work with the authorities in a country like this is to really have a look at the animal welfare legislation, have a look at what will be good for animals, what will be good for people, and then to try and implement new legislation that prevents the suffering of animals in captivity.
Just take us through the diplomatic relations that will be involved with such a logistical process, because I mean, it's just these are different countries being involved in the relocation. This will be South Africa as well as looking at, you know, Israel and some of the issues around there. So it almost appears as though it's an international relations linked deployment and actual work in itself. It's not just a simple get the animals out of the zoo and relocate them to South Africa. Really, there are issues around national security as well as national compliance that need to be adhered to.
That's correct. So Four Paws always only acts with the permission and the invitation from the authorities. Our team made several attempts to go into the area, and due to unrest, we had to sort of step back, wait, renegotiate. And as you say, what's really so inspiring is that these animals have actually created and facilitated the opportunity for those international relations. So you had Jordan, Gaza and Israel all working together as authorities, together with our international team and, of course, here in South Africa, to bring these animals out and offer them a better place. So I think animals bring people together in ways that people can't do by themselves.
Well, Fiona, I certainly do know that South Africans are quite happy to have 2 more kittens, or should I say big cats, within their backyards there as well. So thanks a lot, and all the best for the work that you do with Four Paws. They've got Fiona Ma speaking to us about the work and the evacuation. They're calling it a coup.